Hey friends, welcome back to another children's sermon. Welcome back to my couch. My name is Becca. For those of you who are new here and for those of you who are returning, it is good to be with you again. Welcome. Okay, so today is the third Sunday in Advent. That's right. Anybody remember what color Advent is? Blue, that is right. So in the season of Advent, what are we doing? We're waiting, and waiting can be so hard. So I have a little test for you to see if you can show me something. Okay, can you stand up if your family helps you wait for something? Okay, you can sit down. Raise your hand if your friends help you wait. Okay, you can put your hand down. Clap your hands once if reading a book helps you wait. Clap your hands twice if doing a puzzle helps you wait. Clap your hands 3 times if playing video games or playing outside with friends helps you wait. And clap your hands a whole bunch of times if all of those things and playing with your pets help you wait. That is right. Playing with my pets help me wait. Reading a book helps me wait. Doing a puzzle always helps me wait. My family, my friends. That's right, but waiting can be so hard. So it's awesome when we have people and fun activities that help us wait. So today, to remind us, here is the Advent wreath. And I had to glue this little guy back on, so we're not going to use him yet. But we're going to put our third candle. That's right, 3 weeks. 3 candles for 3 weeks. That's right, 3 weeks of Advent. So next week, for the 4th week of Advent, we'll add one here. That is right. And hopefully our little Velcro dot will stay on. But yeah, how many candles are on your Advent wreath right now? Are your Advent candles a different color than my candles? Sometimes you can see them as blue, sometimes you see them as purple, white, pink. There's a variety. But because the ones in the sanctuary are blue, I made ours to be blue. And Advent, the waiting is blue. So, just to remind us. So today's story comes from Zephaniah. I want to show you something. So Zephaniah, do you know where that is in the New Testament or the Old Testament? That's right. Okay, if my finger is marked where our story is it closer to the beginning of the Bible or the end of the Bible? So the beginning, the end. Yeah, it's closer to the beginning. And so Zephaniah is in the Old Testament. That is right. And Zephaniah is also a prophet. Do you remember us talking about a prophet last week? Malachi, that's right. And his name meant messenger or the messenger. So Zephaniah is also a prophet, but Zephaniah is a little more doom and gloom. When I say doom and gloom, what kind of face do you think of? Do you think like doom and gloom? Or do you think doom and gloom? Or maybe afraid? Yeah, so doom and gloom can be a little more scary. It can be a little more sad. It can make us nervous, right? But here's the cool thing about Zephaniah. While he told the people what they were doing was wrong, he also told them the right thing to do. So we're going to read our story today and talk about Zephaniah and his prophecy. Do you remember what prophecy means? It's like a foreshadowing, telling us what is going to happen. And so Zephaniah is a prophet like Malachi, and he has a prophecy. So, a reading from Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter. God was furious. The people of Israel were behaving terribly. They built idols and worshipped them. They praised other gods. They broke God's commandments again and again. The bright gold temple that King Solomon built was filled with people worshiping other gods. A worker in the temple discovered some old scrolls. He rushed to show them to his boss. His boss raced to show them to King Josiah. Josiah couldn't believe what he read in them. "We're so far from God," he exclaimed. "We're breaking God's rules. We've got to change." God sent the prophet Zephaniah to tell the people about God's anger and sadness, and about God's love. The people would be cleansed and saved. They would be God's people again. Otto says, the Israelites built that cool temple to God, and then they started worshiping other gods. God's people have really short memories. Zephaniah cleared his throat and called out, "Sing praise to God. Shout your thanks and rejoice in God." He reminded God's people, "You forget about God. You built idols and worshiped other gods, not your God, and you broke God's commandments. But God has given you a reason to celebrate. God forgives you. God is giving you a second chance." "You turned your back on God," Zephaniah continued. "Now turn back to God. God still loves you, and God forgives you. All around the world, people will know you follow God. You are God's people." Ava says, "Wow, after all that, God forgave the people. They heard Zephaniah's message from God." Ava always has such wise things to say. And Otto has really good questions, don't you think? So Zephaniah brings this kind of maybe gloomy, sad, or scary story by saying he's talking about God's anger, right? And we don't hear a lot about God's anger because we always talk about God's love for us. And so that is exactly what Zephaniah did. He talked about both God's anger and God's love. If you had to think why God was angry in this story, what would you think the answer would be? I think it's because they weren't following God. Exactly what King Josiah said. We are so far from God. But Zephaniah talks about how easy it is to just turn back. So we're going to do a quick activity. Are you ready? I want you to stand up, and I'm going to say, "Turn back to God." And then you're going to turn around and yell at the TV, "We are God's people." So stand up and don't look at me. Turn around the other direction. We turn back to God, and then you turn around and we say, "We are God's people." So let's do it for real. Are you ready? Turn around. I see you. Turn back to God. We are God's people. That is right. So Zephaniah brought this gloomy news, but also helpful, right? He brought good news. He said that we are God's people and we should rejoice. So while we wait, we can rejoice in God's love and forgiveness. I think it's a little easier to wait when we have something to celebrate, right? And so we've been celebrating Advent, we've been preparing for Jesus, and now as we wait, we're going to celebrate God's love and forgiveness for us. And thankfully, we've had this story to remind us of that today. So if you want to read our story, it comes from Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, verses 14 through 20. And if you want to look it up in your World Bible, it's on page 162. All right, friends, till next time. See ya.